I realize I am between yourselves and lunch, so this is going to be a quick speed date through our view of putting together a PSD2 consumer-focused type app. What the aim of this app was, and the purpose is to get the thought juices going, to present a view of what PSD2 could look like. It sits on a wireframe at the back end, which is a set of PSD2 APIs that we've been putting together for a while now. But it's a mock-up to get the idea of PSD2 from a pure consumer perspective. We've got the login screen here, which, standard stuff of username, password, could be corporate identity information. It's an aggregator type view. An aggregator is somebody who reaches out to bank accounts and pulls your identity into one source of truth. Innocuously, we have social media login. So the next generation, the users, are looking for access to banking information using their social ID, their Snapchat, their Facebook, their LinkedIn ID that has a certain level of credibility associated with it, etc. But also is voice IVR. We're seeing a growth now in IVR interaction of applications. I won't try it just here because it's obviously with background, etc. But we can show it to you outside afterwards. But a very simple way of logging into the app maybe is just your fingerprint. It's becoming more and more common for biometric or IVR log into a PSD2 or a PSD2 wireframe, etc. What you're immediately presented here is capabilities. Just scroll that over. Unfortunately, breaking the screen makes it a little bit awkward. These are a set of microservices associated with this PSD2 aggregator. Obviously, the most important one is who am I? What are my accounts from all the different member banks that I'm affiliated with or have accounts in there? Associate those accounts and what can I do with those accounts? What are my capabilities? I can apply for a loan. I can do emergency cash and pay a bill, mobile top-up, etc. Two just simple things of, well, find an ATM that's nearby that I can get cash from. So if I go to my first screen, which is, here's my set of accounts. I've got 5 primary bank accounts that are US-based accounts, different currencies, UK pounds, euro accounts, etc. I've got one place now that says, this is who I am. This is Sean O'Connell's account. I wish some of that actually was mine. But not only that, then I have secondary accounts. PSD2 is not just about limiting to pure bank accounts. It's different types of blockchaining or digital coin type currencies out there. Loyalty cards, interesting concept where loyalty cards actually have a monetary value, your Avios type points, type scenario, etc. Down to things like, your mortgage, your credit card, having one single view of it. Now, a nice thing would be is I actually want to have one way to visualize that information. Most of us are visual learners. I'd like to see, is there one place to get this detail, as well as the history of my wealth over the past 12 months, past couple of years. How have I been doing itself? Now, one of the things I've enabled in here is geofencing. It comes up from time to time when we're talking to customers. How do I geofence? How do I give someone read access to my bank account? But at the same time, if they're not in that particular country, or they're in a blocked country, or how do I prevent them from making changes? So if I enable geofencing on the app itself, I should only be allowed, for example, if I try to access my US account, it won't allow me to do transfers because I actually am in the UK itself. It knows my location by tracking using standard iPhone technology. One of the things they present here is transaction information. So this is my history of transactions being pulled from my member bank. So remember, this is the aggregator who's pulling on my behalf bank account information. So I'll take notice here of, say, the Amazons are paying bills with British Gas or with eBay, etc. I'm bypassing the use of my credit card with these online retailers. That's the vision behind PSD2. I don't have to have a credit card for doing transactions going forward. I can bring my bank account. So you can think about the concept of enrolling Amazon to have access to my bank account. for a certain amount of time for a certain credit value. That reduces potential credit card fraud. At the same time, it gives a more instant payment capability for the online retailers. Transferring funds could be as simple as, okay, I tried to transfer a fund there, it's blocking me because it's a US-based account. So let me find an account that happens to be in the UK. Let's take my sterling account. And I want to do a transfer of funds. Simply select your target account. Say I want to transfer £100. It's done. Very, very simple. The whole idea is it's very user-centric. It's very easy for users to transact and transfer money between accounts. Let's try to do that again. This time, using risk-based authentication. So I'm out in a country, I'm out in the field, I'm doing a high-value transaction. Now my member bank here is saying, if I try to make the transfer, it says any transfers over £1,000 require step-up authentication. What does that mean? Additional level of validation. It is Sean O'Connell who's got access to this particular account. In this particular scenario, if I click on, it's looking for a one-time password. Now what's a one-time password? It's a random value that's distributed by SMS. It can be generated on a soft token. It can be generated on your iWatch. So if anyone's familiar growing up with Blue Peter, something I've prepared before is we have an OTP demonstrator running on the iWatch, which we will hope it works. Yep, here we go. It sends it through a secure channel, the OTP, it's generated, and once it hits submit, it gets validated at the back end. The back end here is an API gateway that is looking at the OTP, looking at the transaction, looking at the location, saying that's fine, it's done a risk evaluation, that's fine for that transaction to continue on. Last but not least, there's other scenarios of enrollment of accounts and using things like the OAuth handshake for setting temporary access or long-term access to accounts. Well, we've talked about account perspective. What about I want to do stuff with the accounts? So let's take the scenario, you've lost your wallet, you're coming home, you need to take a taxi home, I need emergency cash. So select one of the accounts. We know that it's, I can use my UK accounts, it's not geofenced. Let's say it's going to be a long taxi ride, £200, hit the submit. Now, what's going to give me is a temporary code, a PIN code, take to my nearest ATM for me to get that cash out so I can pay the taxi ride home, etc. Where's my nearest ATM? Hopefully this works. Nope, it didn't work. That's great. So let's try that one more time. No pressure. Hey, so there's my nearest ATM. I can plot the route to go and retrieve the cash with that temporary pin. But again, some other scenarios that have come along is smart home monitoring, smart metering. I want to build this in as my identity going forward. It's not just about pure financials. It's about me as a living capability using one single portal that's aggregated from all these different service providers. So, any questions before you rush out for lunch? Yep.
Try it again.
Hey, this is Anton from MuleSoft. We actually really excited about the demo, and we kind of like building some of the similar stuff to showcase. The question that I have is, do you guys have any reference architectures, APIs to take a look at?
We do have, like yourselves, we're working on reference architectures and some of the APIs. We are filling that out at the moment. Is probably the best way to describe it. PSD2, as everyone knows, is not clearly defined. There's no clear specification, but by talking to a lot of the vendors, service providers, the financial, we're getting a clear idea of what those APIs should be able to do, what type of functionality needs to be behind them, etc. By showcasing this, we're getting to be able to prove out those APIs.
Is the idea to make it public?
We will make some of it public, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean. So thanks for the presentation.